Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel where we bring stories to life. Today, we have a heartwarming tale that reminds us of the true power of kindness, even when we have very little to give. So, find a cozy spot and let's dive into the story of the bird who tested the poor man. Once upon a time, nestled at the edge of a vast whispering forest, there lived a man in a small, humble cottage. He was a kind soul, known for his gentle nature, but his life was one of poverty. Each day was a struggle, a cycle of hard work just to earn enough for a single handful of rice. He lived alone, with the rustling leaves and the chirping birds as his only companions. Though his pockets were empty and his stomach often rumbled, his heart was full of compassion. He never hesitated to help a neighbor or share a kind word with a stranger, believing that goodwill was a currency far more valuable than gold. His hands were calloused from labor, but his spirit remained soft and unhardened by the difficulties he faced. He found simple joy in the rising sun, the cool forest air, and the quiet peace of his small home. One morning, the air was particularly sharp and cold. A thin layer of frost sparkled on the ground, and the man's breath plumed in white clouds as he swung his axe, chopping firewood to keep the chill at bay. The rhythmic thud of the axe was the only sound in the silent, wintry forest. Suddenly, a flash of vibrant color caught his eye. A beautiful bird, with feathers like a rainbow, fluttered down from a snow-dusted branch and landed near him. The bird looked at him with intelligent, bright eyes, and, to the man's astonishment, it spoke. "Kind man," its voice was like the tinkling of tiny bells. "I am so hungry. The frost has covered all the berries, and I can find nothing to eat. Could you please spare a little something?" The man stopped his work and looked at the delicate creature. He thought of the tiny portion of rice he had saved for his own meal, the only food he would have for the entire day. Without a moment's hesitation, the poor man set down his axe and offered a gentle, warm smile. His own hunger was a familiar ache, but the thought of this beautiful creature suffering was more than he could bear. "Of course, little friend," he replied softly. "I have only a handful of rice left for myself, but you are welcome to share it. Your need is as great as mine." He went inside his cottage and returned with his precious ration of rice. Carefully, he placed the grains on a large, clean leaf he picked from a nearby bush, creating a small plate for the bird. He set it down gently on the ground, and the bird hopped closer, pecking at the rice with gratitude in its eyes. The man watched, a feeling of contentment washing over him, happy to have helped another living being, no matter how small. He expected nothing in return. The act of giving was its own reward. As the bird finished the last grain of rice, a wondrous and magical event unfolded. A brilliant golden light began to emanate from the creature, growing brighter and brighter until it was almost blinding. The man shielded his eyes, and when he could look again, the bird was gone. In its place stood a radiant fairy, cloaked in a gown that shimmered like 1,000 stars. A gentle warmth spread from her, melting the frost on the ground around them. The man stared in absolute awe, unable to believe what he was seeing. The fairy smiled, her voice now rich and melodic. "I am a fairy bird," she explained. "I came to this forest to test the hearts of mortals. I have met many, but none have shown the selflessness that you have. You are truly kind and generous, offering your only meal to a stranger, even when you possess so little. Your heart is pure gold." The fairy then reached into a fold of her shimmering gown and produced a single tiny seed. It glowed with a soft, golden light, pulsing with a life of its own. She held it out to the man. "Because of your incredible kindness, your life is about to change," she said. "Take this golden seed, plant it in the earth in front of your home, and trust in the magic of your good deeds." The man, still speechless, reached out with a trembling hand and accepted the precious gift. He felt a gentle warmth spread through his fingers as he held it. "Thank you," he managed to whisper, his voice filled with emotion. The fairy gave him one last knowing smile, and with another flash of brilliant light, she vanished, leaving behind only the lingering scent of wildflowers and the magical seed in the man's hand. He stood there for a long moment, the tiny seed feeling heavy with promise. Filled with a mix of wonder and hope, the man did exactly as the fairy had instructed. He went to the small patch of earth in front of his cottage, a spot where he had often tried and failed to grow a few meager vegetables. With great care, he dug a small hole with his fingers and placed the golden seed inside. He covered it with soil, patted it down gently, and watered it with the last of the water from his bucket. He didn't know what to expect, but a deep sense of peace settled in his heart. That night, he went to sleep with a glimmer of hope he hadn't felt in years, dreaming of shimmering lights and fairy songs. The next morning, as the first rays of sunlight streamed through his window, the man woke up and looked outside. What he saw made him gasp in disbelief. Where he had planted the tiny seed, a magnificent tree now stood, its branches reaching high into the sky. It hadn't just grown, it had flourished overnight into a full, majestic tree. And this was no ordinary tree. Its leaves were a deep emerald green, but its fruit was extraordinary. Hanging from every branch were gleaming, golden apples. They shone so brightly in the morning sun that the entire clearing was bathed in a warm, golden glow. The man slowly walked towards the tree, his eyes wide with wonder. He reached out and touched one of the golden fruits. It was solid, heavy, and real. This was no dream. The fairy's promise had come true. His days of poverty were over. He carefully picked one of the golden apples, its weight a testament to its value. From that day forward, the man's life was transformed. He was no longer the poor woodcutter struggling for a handful of rice. He was rich beyond his wildest dreams. He built a larger, more comfortable home, enjoyed delicious meals, and never again had to worry about where his next meal would come from. But the wealth did not change the man's heart. He never forgot the cold, hungry days or the feeling of having nothing. He remembered the kindness he was shown and, more importantly, the joy he felt in sharing what little he had. He used his newfound fortune not just for himself, but to help everyone around him. He built a shelter for the homeless, provided food for the hungry, and supported his entire village, ensuring that no one else would have to endure the hardships he once faced. His generosity became as legendary as the story of the magical tree itself. He lived a long and happy life, always remembering that his greatest treasure was not the gold from the tree, but the kindness within his own heart. And that brings us to the end of our story. It's a beautiful reminder that kindness is a seed that can grow into something truly magical. What we give, especially when we have little, often comes back to us in the most unexpected and wonderful ways. True wealth isn't about what you have, but about what you're willing to share. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more tales that warm the heart and inspire the soul, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to ring the notification bell so you never miss a new video. We love hearing from you, so please share your thoughts on the story in the comments below. Until next time, stay kind and keep sharing your light with the world.